Hey everyone, and welcome to the In-House Podcast where tastemaker fashion goes digital. Today we're joined by Ashkon Elahi. You know him as the mastermind behind Memphis's very own Con brand, outfitting the 901 with vintage and upcycled pieces unlike anything else. Ashkon, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you on the show because you have such a unique sense of style, design, all the repurposing, the vintage, the upcycling. But before we get too much into the brand, we want to dive into who you are, how you got here, and just more about getting the people to know who you are. So, Rob, if you want to kick it off.
Absolutely. And look, with all great stories, there are humble beginnings. At the earliest stages, you were drawing in class. So how did it go from how did the creativity evolve from drawing in class to actually applying it to clothing?
Man, that's a great question. I was honestly the kid who just was wearing the craziest stuff at school. I didn't like, everybody was rocking vineyard vines and polos. And yeah, I liked that at one point. But then I started learning about like skatewear and Huff and those kind of brands. And they were always different and unique. So, like, I would say the weed socks were iconic to me because it was funny. Only the person wearing it really knew unless you pulled their pants up and like looked at the socks. So I started getting interested in those little details that only the person wearing it knew the story behind. So I was like, I want to start making stuff like that, like little details in the pockets and whatnot. So I started customizing my own stuff, and my friends started saying, "Yo, bro, I gotta get that off of you. Like, give me some of that." And then I just started trying to make it in a bulk fashion, but the one-on-ones is really like the bread and butter. Like, I think that's the new wave of luxury is one-of-one, just because nobody else has it on, and to celebrities, to normal people, everyone just likes to feel special. So knowing
For
nobody
sure.
is a big factor.
Uniqueness.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's nothing compares to being a one of one. But, even before Con and really like starting the brand, moving into kind of the fullness that it is today, you were an entrepreneur already, like social media manager, website designer. How did being an entrepreneur prepare you to kind of take this next step where you're really focused on the brand full time?
Man, I just learned everything myself. I didn't outsource a lot. I just took every role of the company, and that was kind of, you got to start from the bottom and really not just learn how to sew, learn how to screen print, learn every aspect, and then you can start outsourcing and telling people what to do. Because once you learn it all yourself, you like look for those kind of key characteristics when you find, let's say, an employee or a worker or whoever needs to help you. So getting your hands dirty is one of my biggest tips. Is you got to learn it yourself, and that really is what happened during the pandemic. Uh, Everybody was locked in the house, so I picked up a needle and learned how to sew. My mom taught me, and that was like a blessing in disguise, is what I would call it. And after that, that's where the rabbit hole went down into the 101s and upcycling vintage. So it was a blessing in disguise.
It seems like, we all kind of had time during the pandemic. We were learning new things. I mean, are there other skills that you were able to kind of harness during the pandemic? I know the sewing is super important to what you do.
Yeah, was that not enough for you, Rob? Him learning how to sew?
Look, you never know. Maybe he picked up some other things. I'm curious. I picked up a few things. Now I never use them, unfortunately, but maybe you did.
Sewing was a big thing, and then I really got into dyeing, learning how to get different types of effects with dye. And
see, that's cool.
I spent some time literally painting, getting big canvases, and just going ham on that. So I was trying to go back into the roots of why I was making clothes in the first place, and that was being an artist in the first place. So like practicing and exercising that part of the brain is, I think, important to kind of open up and find something different as far as applying it to fashion as well. So you can't forget being an artist when you're a designer as well.
Absolutely. And I think as with most things, especially in the art world, you kind of get motivation or get influence from certain things. And it seems like two things really did and do influence you. And one of those things is mid-century Americana, right? The nostalgia, the pinups. And the other one, obviously, is your Persian heritage. How do those influences come into there? I saw that. It leads to the question. How do those things come into focus? How do you kind of expand your thoughts on them?
Yeah. And how do they blend together,
That's a great one. Yeah. How do they blend?
Yeah, and that was something that I'm glad I kind of found out was how can I make something unique and still tell my story and that kind of stuff, and show that to the world as far as through my clothes and whatnot. So of course I grew up in America, but I was raised Persian and Muslim and all that stuff. So I started looking at my culture and my history, and I thought that would be a cool way to start incorporating that. So my my mom brought some old Persian fabrics back from Iran, and she gave them to me, and she said, "I don't know what you're going to do with them, but here you go." That was like I would say like a secret investment into me because it sat around my house collecting dust, and I was like, one day I'm just going to chop it up and put it on like Levi's or Carhartt, which is an icon to American workwear. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned sashiko stitch, which is a Japanese stitching method. So I was like, I'm gonna put this trifecta of culture aspects all into like my clothes now. And when I did that, and I posted it on Instagram, just kind of like throwing it on the floor and posting it, it got like ridiculous feedback. And I was like, okay, this is unique. People don't see this often, so it kind of it launched me into this style that I could call my own now because it is my own through these little experiences that came through me. So
For sure. And always great to get kind of those early indications like, oh, I really am doing something interesting and different. And
People vibe with passion, Tucker.
exactly. Yeah. It's all about, passion and storytelling. And, for the people out there who don't know Con, you, as the brand, you really split your time between the things you've been talking about, the vintage, upcycled, one of one, like all those pieces. But you also do a bunch of cut and sew pieces too, like actual, starting from scratch, going to the factory and making it happen. What was the kind of order? How did that come to life? Because obviously you're talking about really diving in on the customs and easing your way into, starting to modify things that were already in the world. When did it transition into creating original pieces, straight from your mind?
yeah, and I think that's important for any designer is you have that little dead period when your factories are working on stuff. That's when the devil's playground is an idle hand, which means if you're not doing anything, that's the devil's playground. Kind of like you keep yourself busy. So I would do those drawings and sketches, and I do that all day, and just kind of like free flow sketches. And when I do have the factory working on stuff, that's when I like to do the customs because you don't want to have a dead period of not creating anything. Yeah, I literally have to create out of habit, or else become like stagnant and the ideas get bad. But the cut and sew aspect is also kind of scary because you don't know if it's going to be a hit. I have products that are from 2019, 2020 still hanging around. So I'm still humbled by the cut and sew. The one of ones are kind of what make me feel good because they just don't stick around. They come and go. But cut and sew, if you can, I also have hits with the cut and sew too. So I'm not afraid of doing them. But if it's not a hit, you have to keep moving. Like you can't sit there and cry about your leftover stock or whatnot. So cut and sew is a little scary, and finding the proper factory is also a challenge. But I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years now, so I've shifted my way through all the crappy factories and found the good one. And I usually do that by going and looking up a factory that makes either fake Louis Vuitton or fake Gucci.
Interesting.
I don't want that stuff. I want you to use the same materials, but make my stuff. So there's a lot of tips and tricks on how to find a really good one.
Yeah, I like the process of elimination that way. That's super interesting. But you talked a little bit about growing this brand and its following, and you talk about getting cleaned out of stock on things that it just makes you feel good that wow, I hit a home run on that. People loved it. you know, when we think about like what there's various inflection points in any business, you know, for you, when did you start to feel like, oh, I'm really doing something super special? Like it could have been maybe a famous buyer or a drop that sold out and just like blew you away, or seeing someone in public that you don't know wearing your brand. Like, was there one moment that stands out, or a few moments that stand out where you were really proud and you had kind of that real world evidence that things were moving?
Yeah, it was actually last year. I had a pop-up shop and I went above and beyond. It was super cool. I sent out invites to people. It was it was kind of like a crime scene pop-up shop. Like different fits were on the floor with tape around them with little crime scene markers
That's very cool.
for like the price on there. And anytime somebody bought a fit, it would leave the silhouette of the crime scene. So it was kind of like a metaphor of that I killed it. But
I like that.
uh, it was so cool because it was an entire vibe, and in the back of the pop up was a room with pistachios and pomegranate. It was like in a Persian rug. It was super on brand as far as you can come back there and somebody was like, "Hey man, how'd you come up with this?" I said, "Come back here and lounge with me and hang out, and we can talk and eat some pistachio." Like I went above and beyond as far as kind of like my Persian vibe that my parents do all the time. So this dude flew all the way out from Cali to come to the pop up, and when I met him, I was like, "Hey man, what's up? Where are you from?" He's like, "I'm from San Francisco." I was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "You all the way across the country to come to my pop up?" He's like, "Yeah." And that's when I came out of my microscope. I was like, there's way bigger things than just this little tiny town of Memphis. Even though Memphis is awesome and it's not tiny, but I just started realizing there's a wide scope of people who can do stuff like that and just pull up on you. And he balled out. He walked around. He didn't look at any prices, and he just pointed. He said, "I want that. I want that. I want that." And I was like, "Man, this is cool. I've never met somebody like that, but I know there are way more people like that around. So I'm just happy that people can they appreciate the art and they have their own little collection. Like he only bought one of ones because he was like, all my friends wear Dior, Gucci. They can buy whatever they want, but none of them have this right here. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Appreciate
That is awesome, and it's always so cool to hear when like the vision really starts to, you know, take root outside of just, you know, where it's from. So like outside Memphis and
it.
Memphis metro area. But you know, to switch to a little segment here, you know, where you're wearing your own stuff right now, I can tell already. And we want to do a little segment called Fit Check. We're going to pull up some outfits you've worn in the past, whether it's con or something else. We just want to get a little rundown on each of these. So Ryan, our producers, pulled these up. And for this first one here, I think this is actually from a campaign that you did for con, but you got the short shorts on. I'm pretty sure this is in New York, maybe some vintage or upcycled Carhartt. What's going on here with the dice throwing?
Yeah, New York is so cool. First of all, I love New York. I got to come to New York way more. Uh, I
Got to
actually
come
have
visit us.
yeah, I have way more followers in New York now than I do in Memphis. It's actually like 5% of my followers.
Yeah, man, come through. Come hang with us.
I got to because I need to just come out there and network because New York is just like a wildfire. It's just bustling all the time.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because I literally got on Instagram, got on the map or something, like clicked on New York, the location, and started scrolling through the posts. And I saw a girl shooting on film and she was so talented. And I just DM'd her and I said, "Hey, can you meet up with me? And can we shoot?" And she was like, "Sure." I charge $80. I was like, all the people I know charge like 150 to 200 in Memphis. And I was like, this girl does not get, she's so talented, but her prices were so reasonable. So I said, yeah, sure. And it was so weird. Just met at a subway station and she had like a mood board and she had like a picture of a rapper throwing dice into the camera. And I was like, that's perfect. Let's do something like that because it gives the, you know, gambling New York vibe, like shooting craps in the corner or something. But
There you go.
I was trying to advertise some of my latest 101s, which was that jacket I'm wearing, which is the first jacket kind of that took a hit because I put solid gold on it. There's like a solid gold con pendant on it, and it just worked out really well. She was so talented. Like I couldn't tell you her name because New York was so just hustle and bustle. Met her, and as soon as we left, I was like, I know I'm never gonna see that girl again. Like it was so crazy.
There you go. That's New York for you. But Ryan, if we can hit the second fit pick here.
So this one's really cool. I mean, look, you got the ombre pants, you got New Balances on, I think. You've got a sick t-shirt. I mean, what's the vibe here? I mean, it kind of looks a little bit like potentially Miami. I'm not sure, but I like what's going on.
This is the beginning of me enjoying my 101s before they're gone. So
there you have the right to do that. Yeah, by the way.
I'm like, man, I don't have anything like dope in my closet because I sell all of it. I don't even keep it because getting rid of it kind of gives me this motivation to recreate something new to replace it. So I just take one picture with one of my items before I get rid of it. But these pants is where I was experimenting the dye work, trying to get kind of statement pieces, really conversation starters. And those pants are a big conversation starter. And I was mixing and matching with a lot of things that I love, which is that's a Louis Vuitton graffiti shirt that I know Virgil designed, and I was like, of course Virgil would throw graffiti on a Louis Vuitton shirt, and it would be the dopest shit in the world. And it was just a crazy blend of styles, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I love Virgil. He's one of my biggest inspirations, but this this the colorways kind of match with the pants, and I was like, this would be a crazy fit. And of course, nobody can do it because these are 101s. So I just enjoyed it while I could, and then of course, as soon as I uploaded them, they were gone. So
There you go. Well, at least you're getting to enjoy them before they're gone. But
yeah,
last fit pick here, we got you got the vintage army tee with kind of the the trademark con drawing all over it. You got the purple pants, also custom, I imagine. What's going on
yeah,
here?
yeah. That's a head to toe, a lot of 101s. The jacket too. That was a track jacket. That one sold. Uh, but the army tee, it's so crazy because people like give me random stuff and just say, I know you're going to do something crazy. Here you go. And one of my friends who was in the army goes, you can have one of my old staff shirts or something. And he gave me that. And I was just staring at it. And I went to almost like Call of Duty drawing mode and started drawing little, almost I Spy level details as far as telling an army story. And there's a lot of troopers and airplanes and stuff like that getting dropped on it, and it became a piece of art. I call that kind of drawing style study hall drawing, which is what I used to
Mm-hmm.
do, draw on the desk, just kind of freestyle, and people love it, and I love it too. I wish I had that shirt, but somebody already got it.
There you go. You got to start designing some of these and keeping them for yourself, man.
Yeah, I agree.
My personal collection is lacking because I just getting rid of it gets me motivated to keep making new stuff. But yeah, you're right. I do have the craziest Jesus tee collection. I love Christian shirts. I think they're so interesting and they're powerful too. People come up to me and say stuff because I'm just wearing a Jesus tee, and I just think they're kind of they're a niche collection item for me.
What they say? Oh, Jesus changed my life too, and you're like, actually, I'm Muslim, so never, never mind.
Yeah, I wear like kind of. I don't want to say they're jokes, but it's like Lord's Gym, kind of like Jesus working out kind of stuff. It's like
That's pretty funny.
unorthodox kind of. They're not regular Jesus shirts.
Yeah, you got to make it your own. So yeah, it goes without saying, not even just looking those pics, but just hearing you talk and how you talk about fashion. You have a super unique sense of style, point of view on design, and how you do everything. Obviously, you wear a lot of your stuff before you send it off to its new home, but how often do you wear any other brands? Is it really about like, I'm making this for me and this is how I refresh my wardrobe, or are you finding yourself often wearing from other brands that are, inspiring you or just in your repertoire?
Yeah, I definitely have brands I'm inspired by that I can't afford. Like that would be along the lines of I love Rude. I love Louis Vuitton. Even though I'm literally just looking at their applications, like how they are doing things and their different techniques that they're applying to their clothes. But I'm a big kind of like high tech wear kind of guy. I like working out in clothes and then it being okay to wear out to an event or something. Like I like the utility aspect of garments and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's so interesting. A lot of the stuff you do, you're kind of like known for the vintage and the upcycle stuff, but my favorite stuff that you do is the tech wear, like the stuff that is the crossover kind of mostly the cut and sew pieces you do, I think is sick. So I think that's don't stop doing that for our sake.
summertime, I'm making a lot of shorts, and shorts are always a hit because I'm like looking at what's missing in my shorts. Let's say I'm running all the time, and my phone keeps coming out the bottom of the pocket. So I got them to start stitching it inside the shorts. So if you're ever running, shorts are coming up, your phone's not sticking out the bottom and getting that dangle going. So I'm always trying to improve everything, like literally 1% better. That's really all it takes. But yeah, I do wear a lot of other brands, but I thought, I got to start making stuff that I'm missing. So I'm always working on gym wear. Sooner or later I need to start making some dressier clothes for nicer occasions. So that'll come pretty soon as well.
There you go. Con dinnerware up next. But interestingly enough, like you remind me stylistically a lot of Mike Amiri, who coincidentally also Persian. Is that someone you take inspiration from as well? Is that someone who kind of like, especially like having that commonality of being Persian? What does that mean to you?
Huge inspiration. That guy is a beast. Uh, and I don't even have a single thing from him because he's on a different price point. He was the first guy where I was like, I started selling pants for $800 to $1,000, but his price point's like 1,000 plus, and it really inspired me because I was like, he shows the behind the scenes of what goes into every pant and how much tailoring and how much detail goes into it, and hopefully one day I'll be on that level. But Mike Amiri is a goat, and he knows what he's doing. He might be the next like big thing other than Ruigi, but Amir, huge inspiration. I don't have a single item, but you'd have to save up for a while to get something from him. So
Yeah, no doubt about that. But really, the commonality is definitely there. So a good role model to have.
I haven't seen him
Absolutely.
like the Persian stuff into his clothes. He might do the paisley, but like as far as like maybe like putting like these Persian fabrics in on on clothes, he doesn't do stuff like that. And I hope he notices me one day and is like, "Yo, bro, we got to collab or something." Like that's the dream because he does stuff like that with artists and whatnot. So hopefully one day, even if it's not Mike Amiri, some brand reaches out just to says no budget, go crazy, and that'd be a great dream of mine.
There we go. If there's any blank checks listening, you know where to find him.
Well, obviously, your brand and your business continue to grow. You're diversifying your products. You're kind of creating new pieces all the time. In your eyes, what's next for, what you're doing now? What's next for the brand? What's next for the business? How do you see yourself continuing to grow?
Well, definitely have to. I I hate to say it, I gotta branch out of Memphis. I gotta start doing pop ups. I got a lot of friends in Nashville. Nashville's a great city, but New York is kind of the fashion hub. I gotta come up there and do a pop up because I get DMs all day. Yo, bro, pop up in New York. Come and drop the treasure chest in New York, which is like I'll drop this treasure chest and upload the pin with a bunch of free items in it, and people it's cleared out in like 24 hours usually. But uh, people always ask me to come up to New York and do that kind of stuff. But I want to get into some brick and mortar ideas, kind of a set vibe that people can come and visit and really dissect the brand and learn about why it's like this and kind of appreciate the culture as well. So I'm trying to expose that kind of stuff.
Love
But
that.
I can't do that in Memphis. That I have a saying: you can't have nice things here. Anything really cool is gonna get something's gonna happen to it. Someone's gonna try to break in and take it. I hate to say that, but it just has happened to all the people I know around me. So I'm I move militant when I have my pop up. Like I won't even tell you the address of the pop up until the day of, that kind of thing. So I have to be very smart in the way I move, and that's a cool way of approaching life, is just move smart. So it's gonna be with me through the long run. Even when I go somewhere else, I'll always have this method mind.
There you go. Well, hopefully in New York, maybe a little bit of an easier time, but I don't know either. But, really appreciate your time so far. We want to wrap things up on a fun note here with our spin the wheel. It's all mostly Memphis topics, and also some things probably near and dear to the Con brand. So we're going to give it a spin here and see what we get. Ryan, if you want to go ahead and hit that. There we go.
Is that Carhartt?
No, that's commissions. So commissions. So, you talk about doing a lot of one-of-one pieces, and, anyone who follows you on Instagram knows that every now and again you're taking that incoming DM or whatever to make something special. You talked about people just handing you things and saying, go crazy. How do you choose what commissions to take on?
I learned that I got to be a yes man. Like saying yes to whatever opens up the craziest doors. So, as far as I never thought I would be making Carhartt, and I would never have gotten into that rabbit hole of Carhartt if it wasn't for this guy donating me his Carhartt and being like, hey, I think you would go crazy on this. Just have fun. And then I resold it, and it was at a crazy price point. But the shoes too, I could flip the camera around. There's about 20 pairs, not 20 pairs, maybe 10 pairs of shoes in my living room right now that are being customized all by me. I got to do every aspect of it, but uh, the just saying yes to people and creating those things kind of open the doors for other ideas that I never would have thought of. And when I post, let's say I have 4 Air Force Ones over there and a pair of Mischief Super Normals, which are like an Air Force One warped, and they just as soon as I finish those, I'm gonna upload a pic, and I know I'm gonna get 5 other DMs that say, "Yo, bro, I want that one." So,
well, I mean, something's going right.
Yeah, at least business is always coming in the door, which we love to hear. We want to give the wheel another spin here, Ryan, if you want to hit that. I have one that I really want to get to.
I have one I want, and
always partial to something here.
Carhartt.
What do we got? Carhartt.
So I was right. I mean, Carhartt, obviously you've mentioned Carhartt a decent amount this time. It's clear it's something that you obviously take inspiration from, a brand that you'd like to use as well. What's your thoughts on it? Like, how does that kind of work into your day to day?
Yeah. Now we have the origin story, but going to, why it became repetitive. Like, you've even branded it Conhart on your website. Like, it's obviously something
which I love,
integral, which we love. And
yeah.
It's obviously is near and dear to your heart. I think we know how it started, but like, where has it gone from there?
Carhartt is, I would say, an amazing canvas. Like that thing lasts forever. It'll last before, or it's way for us, and it's gonna last way after us too. So some of these Carhartts are from 70s, 80s, whatnot, and they're still intact, and I'll repair them just to keep them going longer. And I think that's why I love Carhartt. It has an American backstory. It's nice workwear, but when I start tying in these other cultural aspects, that's when it gets into this cool blend of different storytelling. Carhartt lasts forever. That's why I think you can sell it at whatever price point, because it's going to be a staple in your wardrobe. It'll last you till your kids. You can give it to your kids and they'll wear it, and who knows how hype it'll be by then. And Carhartt wasn't even hype until, I would say, not even past 2018. Like Carhartt's kind of like new on the scene, and before that, it was for construction workers. And I get DMs all the time from construction workers being like, "I could do that with my Carhartt." And I'm like, "Okay, go do it."
Love that. I want to give it one more spin here because we have a couple of big Memphis ones, and I would love to hit them.
Yeah.
My fingers are crossed because I don't want to reveal what I'm partial to.
Memphis barbecue.
There we go. Okay, now I'm happy. Now we can end happily. So I've never been to Memphis. We actually do a bunch of business in Memphis, interestingly enough, and haven't made the trip. You got to hit us with the best Memphis barbecue spots and tell us, is Memphis barbecue the best in the U.S.?
Memphis barbecue is up there. I think I had barbecue in Texas one time, and that was really good too.
That's what I was saying. Texas got good barbecue too.
You just got to go on like a barbecue binge and try different places. But I'll let you know, in Memphis, the hole-in-the-wall spots are always way better than like the cliche spots. So like, if you come to Memphis and you think of barbecue, they're going to tell you go to Rendezvous. It's in the alleyway. It's been here since the 1920s or whatever. And that's my least favorite spot. I'm sorry to say it. Anybody who likes Rendezvous, it's like a bandwagon barbecue place. But anytime you're driving around Memphis, like a mom and pop like truck with a smoke coming out of it, those are the best spots. Like those little random spots that nobody knows about, that's like where Dolph would go eat barbecue. In South Memphis, there's a truck that has smoke coming out of it all day, and they're cooking barbecue every day. And I just remember one day I was eating there, and I ran into Dolph, and I was like, of course he would be out here eating some barbecue, because that's just how low key he is. But these are the best kind of places to eat.
There you go. Well, that's the final word on Memphis, and tying it off well with the music tie in there as well. But look, Ashkon, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. It's always so cool to, see kind of behind the curtain what goes on and what goes into all your pieces, because it is a very unique and different process of how you bring things to life. So thank you again for your time. Thanks for being part of the in-house family, and really just happy to have you.
Thank you guys for having me and let me tell my story. Hopefully it gives some people some insight.
Of course. Well, thank you again. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks,
we'll be
everyone.
back with another episode, and stay tuned. The In-House Podcast is an in-house production. The hosts of the show are co-founders Tucker Radecki and Rob Lubin. The executive producer is Ryan Radecki. Mixing, editing, and digital production courtesy of Ryan Radecki. This podcast is available on Spotify. Our episodes are also uploaded as videos at youtube.com/@InHouseInc.